Hi, I'm Laura Mize, pediatric speech-language pathologist, and welcome to TeachMeToTalk.com's Therapy Tip of the Week. I hope that you've been having lots of fun over these past couple of weeks doing Easter activities with your little friends or your own child if you're a mom. Now, for some of you, that may induce panic, just me saying that, because you're thinking, oh my goodness, I forgot about Easter. What am I going to do? There's still plenty of time. Don't panic. Let me show you a really fun, easy, and cheap idea using materials that you probably already have there at home or in your school setting, or if you're a therapist who does visits at home, you probably already have these things in your toy inventory, so there's still time to pull off some great Easter activities. Let's do Easter Play-Doh, and again, I'm sure that's something you already have. Even if you don't have it, you can probably make it from items that you already have in your kitchen, in your pantry. You can Google that or get on Pinterest and find all kinds of great recipes. You could even provide some new sensory experiences for children by using some Kool-Aid or other things to really make the Play-Doh smell differently. For me, that would be what I would panic about, because I would never want to make homemade Play-Doh when I could just go buy it. It's cheap. Even if you get the off-brand at the dollar store, it's like $1 or less, a pack. So get yourself some Play-Doh, even if you don't already, or most of the time you probably already have that. Okay, a lot of times moms don't like to do Play-Doh because they feel like it's a gigantic mess. So we as therapists should be teaching moms these really practical ways that we clean up Play-Doh so they're a little less hesitant to let their young children do it. The easiest way to clean up wet Play-Doh or moist Play-Doh is with other Play-Doh. And again, you might think, well, surely everybody knows that. Not necessarily, not if they've not had young children in their home before, haven't used this before. And lots of times, first-time moms have never thought that buying Play-Doh was a good idea for a 2-year-old. So again, you may be reminding them about things. So use that other piece of Play-Doh to clean up the little pieces that are left. Most of the time it's better, though, if we get Play-Doh on a couch that has upholstery or on carpet. Just let the Play-Doh dry. And then most of the time you can pick it up or vacuum it straight off the carpet without any other effort on your part. If it's really ground in there, I found that just taking a knife from your regular silverware and then scraping it off will usually do the trick. We need to talk about, too, beyond the initial mess part, with how we can make Play-Doh really, really therapeutic and fun. And again, sometimes with moms, you'll have to kind of talk about it and sort of talk them into it by explaining all of the things that you're going to be targeting with the child. Beyond that, Play-Doh is just really, really fun, even for 2-year-olds. And again, some moms might have thought that it's a little too young to start, but you can give them some really cool ideas. Now, if you have been a therapist for a while or have parented older children, you probably already have some cookie cutters that you could use for Easter. Even if you don't have a bunny or an egg, you could probably find a duck in your set or something that would be Easter related. If you don't have that, and if you're willing to go on a little shopping spree, I picked up this cute, it's actually a baking set at Walmart just yesterday, and it's $1.97, so really cheap, and it had really cute cookie cutters there that you can certainly use for Play-Doh. Again, a bunny, an egg, a butterfly, and a flower. You also get this really cute roller, and so if you don't have good Play-Doh accessories already, this is a super little set for you to get. And you may not use the whisk because this is a baking set, but let me tell you how you could use the long-handled spoon. Many of our little guys in early intervention who have language delays also have other issues, perhaps even some sensory differences. And so they may have some tactile defensiveness. And again, in plain language, that means they don't want to always touch new objects or new materials, because again, the sensations they're feeling in their little body tell them that that's not a fun thing to do and they don't enjoy it yet. So you could get your little friends to play with Play-Doh and encourage them by using tools like a long-handled spoon to get it out of the can, or a roller, so that they really don't have to touch it. And you're introducing that new experience gradually by letting them, again, go at their own pace and do it in a way that's not so offensive. to their little systems. If you don't have these accessories, you can always raid the kitchen, and lots of moms will be willing to do that during visits if you're a home-based therapist, so that you can pull in the materials that a family already has. Now let's talk about the language goals that we're going to be using when we're playing with Play-Doh. Now you may use something like the Hannon method, which means that you're going to do a lot of observing, waiting, and listening after you've set the Play-Doh out, so that you can hear what a child would naturally do or see how a child would naturally play. And for many, many children, doing that, really not structuring that activity, will give you so much information. You may hear vocalizations that you've never heard before. You may see them play in more mature ways that you've never seen before. It might go the other way. They may not know what to do at all. And you may realize, my goodness, this is a brand new experience. They're not really able to initiate any play unless we have some kind of a plan. I'll also tell you that sometimes moms feel that way too. And they're a little bit uncomfortable when you say, we're just going to set the Play-Doh out and see what happens. So sometimes you really do need some backup ideas that you can take in, and so that you're comfortable, and so that you have something to teach a mom, and something, again, to some little ideas to help her be more willing to do this kind of play with her child. In addition to teaching the new vocabulary that we've already mentioned with our cookie cutters, with egg and bunny and duck, we may also be able to target lots of action words or verbs with Play-Doh. Now, I've got a list right there on the post below the video of all kinds of action words that you could use with Play-Doh, like pound or push or pull or pat, or if we're using our roller, we can certainly do that. We can introduce some scissors and do some cutting with the Play-Doh too. So all kinds of opportunities to learn some new action words there. We also want to be sure that we are playing with the child with Play-Doh, so that he has his Play-Doh and we have ours, and so that we're showing him new things to do with the Play-Doh. That's really giving him an opportunity to imitate us. And we always want children to be able to see what we're doing and then to do what we're doing. That see and do, that copying piece, repeating piece is huge. And it always starts with objects long before we're going to hear a child do it with his or her little mouth. While you're playing like that, if you're not making things yet, you're just kind of getting the Play-Doh out and experimenting, be sure that you're using those words that we talked about, those action words, or even exclamatory words like wow and whoa or ooh if the Play-Doh is cold and squishy. Any kind of word that would attract a child's attention. One of my favorite words to use with Play-Doh is having the child hold the Play-Doh and then me grasping my hands around theirs and saying squeeze and helping them do that. Kids think that is hysterical. And again, for a child who is just beginning to experience Play-Doh and is not defensive, that's a really fun one to introduce. Now, if you don't have any cookie cutters and you're thinking, well, I still want to do this activity, but I'm not sure quite how to do it, let me show you how to make some really simple things, some really simple Easter shapes. Our first one would just be eggs. And again, if you can roll Play-Doh into a ball, you can make an Easter egg. And that's the great thing about working with young children. They don't care if it's perfect, if it's sculpted beautifully, if your egg is a perfect oval. If you're calling it an egg and you're talking about it, that's good enough. So again, that's a fun, easy thing that everybody can do. Other things you can do beyond that with your eggs, you can talk about size. So if you're working with a child who's further along with language, you can introduce your big eggs and your little eggs. You can do some things where you're grouping all of the big ones together and all of the little ones together. You can do some things where you're matching by color. And that's a cognitive skill that lots of our little guys need to learn how to do. So lots of opportunities there just by making those Easter eggs. If it won't make you crazy, if the kids mix the colors a little bit, you could pretend with a piece of green Play-Doh that you are actually going to have an Easter egg hunt. And for some of our guys, this will be more fun the week after Easter when they've already had some experience with this. So you could put your grass down and then pretend like you're hiding your eggs here. For even more fun, you could cut your pieces of green so that it really looks like grass. And I have a little friend that we did this with, and he thought this was a lot of fun. And so you're making your grass stand up and you're hiding your eggs down in here. And remember, you're talking the whole time. You're communicating together. You're sharing this experience. And it's just a whole lot of fun and something you may not have thought to do with Play-Doh before. Other things that you can make with Play-Doh, I've made an Easter basket. And again, don't worry about having to be a sculptor with this or have it look perfect. Just make a little bowl and then make yourself a little handle right here and call it an Easter basket, and you can have so much fun with putting the eggs in and taking the eggs out. If kids happen to squeeze the colors together, don't let that make you too obsessed and crazy. Get yourself an empty can so that you can put all of your Play-Doh that's been mixed together in there, and then you kind of got that set for kids who like that and who are going to do that anyway. Other things that I make with Play-Doh at Easter time, I've made this little bunny. And again, I'm creative, but I'm not necessarily crafty or artsy. And it's a good thing that I work with toddlers because they really don't care. So I've just made this little face, and I've made some ears, and then his eyes and this little mouth. And then you could make this carrot with orange and green and pretend to feed your bunny so that you're doing some nice early pretend play there or symbolic play, and you're doing little vocalizations like or any of those fun little things that you're trying to get a child when he's first learning how to imitate. Another fun thing that I make with Play-Doh is, and it's not necessarily an Easter idea, but it's so fun for toddlers, is making a birthday cake. So just flatten out a piece of Play-Doh and you're calling it your cake and you're saying, oh, it's your birthday. Let's have a birthday party. And so you're going to make a little candle, and then don't forget to put your, light it and put your little fire on top, and then sing happy birthday to the child or to you or to mom or whoever is there with you. That's always a fun idea with Play-Doh that kids love, even as they move toward 3 and toward 4. So great idea for that. Let's review all the language goals that we've talked about and the other goals within other developmental domains so that you can be sure that you are doing more than just having fun with a child. You can be sure that you've made this activity really, really therapeutic. So first of all, we talked about our receptive language goals. That's helping a child understand more words, helping him learn how to follow directions. Cognitively, we've talked about sequencing these activities in play. We certainly, as we move through the play activity and are cleaning up, are giving children lots of verbal directions and again, helping them learn how to sequence. If we're putting all of our things back in our baking set, that certainly is something that we need to be working on with children and really thinking about what skills we're teaching them to do as we're involved in that activity. We talked about our other little matching goals, teaching size. All of those things are things that you're doing already, so you need to talk to parents about and document them in your therapy notes that you've hit all those goals as you've done your Play-Doh activity. Let's talk about our expressive goals. We certainly talked about teaching new nouns. We talked about teaching new action words as we were using all of our accessories. We certainly can teach descriptive words, and again, I feel like I say this on every therapy tip of the week, but descriptive words go well beyond colors, so don't focus really on teaching colors for new talkers. We're talking about other descriptive words like cold or wet or squishy or ooh or anything like that that would be even an approximation of something that a child could use as a descriptive word there. Another thing that we can do with expressive language is really use sabotage. Do you know what I mean by that? For sabotaging a child's activity, that would be that you give him the Play-Doh, but you don't open the top, and these lids are really hard to get off, so a child will have to ask you for help. At the very least, he'll have to hand it to you or look at you like, would you please do this for me? You could teach a sign or a word for open or help or please or any other kind of word that would represent teaching a child to ask for assistance. Certainly, Play-Doh lends itself to social language intervention if you have more than one child there, if you're treating a small group, or if you're seeing a child in a daycare or a preschool with his or her peers. You can certainly use an activity like Play-Doh. The best way to facilitate that social language use is with proximity. And in plain language, that just means that you're not going to put everything in the middle of the table so every child can reach it. You're going to put your Play-Doh by one kid and put your accessories by another kid and put your cookie cutters by another kid so that the children have to talk and have to ask each other for what they want. Even our nonverbal little friends can learn to gesture and can learn to kind of negotiate, even non-verbally, for what they want. For children who are having difficulty sharing, I love using this activity because I teach them to trade. If a child has something, or if another child has something they want and they don't have it yet, I really try to help my little friends learn to offer something so that they can exchange. And again, that's a wonderful way to target social interaction skills. With Play-Doh, we certainly are targeting that fine motor domain. We've done lots of stuff with finger strengthening and coordination. We're certainly working on isolating our index fingers for pointing. We can do a lot of work bilaterally here. Do you know what I mean by that? For kids who don't use two hands together, really encourage them. That little squeeze trick that I taught you earlier, that'll really help children. So if you notice that they're just playing with Play-Doh with their dominant hand, be sure that you're getting that other hand in there. So I hope that in this little 10-minute video, I've given you some new ideas, some last-minute ideas for Easter if you've not thought about that. If you want even more help with that, please check out my Easter Therapy Guide. It includes over 25 different activities for this week leading up to Easter, and they're with all different developmental levels for children under the 12-month level all the way through children who are already 3. So be sure to check that out. Now, you speech pathologists, this is your last week to get free ASHA CEUs with that project, so don't miss that. I know that you'll want to take advantage of that special offer. All right, that's all for this week. I'm Laura Mize, pediatric speech-language pathologist, and thank you for joining me for TeachMeToTalk.com's Therapy Tip of the Week, and Happy Easter.